Recently, I made a post-FX guide for Tarkov, and while we won't be covering those in today's video, someone in the comments asked me for my full settings. So, without waiting around much longer, that's what we're gonna go over today. But before we do, I'd like to go over my computer specs. That way you know that when we go over the graphics portion of this video, if your rig is around the same as mine, you'll run the game at the same FPS, and if it's better, you know you'll have no problem turning your settings up and running it better than I do. With that being said, I have an i7 9700K, a GTX 1660 graphics card. I have Tarkov installed on a 2TB SSD, and since Tarkov is a very RAM heavy game, most importantly, I have 32GB of DDR4. But something to note here, my RAM is locked to 2600 MHz because of my motherboard, so most likely you will have better speeds than I do, if not DDR5 RAM. Both of these will help in excelling FPS across all maps. Now with that out of the way, let's move on to the actual settings. Under the game tab, you want these first three settings to show always shown. This will make it so the quick slots at the top of your screen are there, stamina and stance is in the bottom right, and your health condition will be shown in the top left of your screen. Along with health condition, make sure you have health color scheme set to polychrome. This will make the character in the top left green instead of gray. For highlight available operations, you want this set to everything. This will make it so mags in your inventory get highlighted green when you need to refill them, or guns will be highlighted red when the durability is low enough, just for two examples. Priority window is a new one, but currently I have this set to auto and I've seen no issues. For double click item use, set this to in raid only. It can definitely save you time while trying to use stimulants or other meds in raid, but if you have this set to in raid and stash, you might accidentally use some medical items in your stash that you didn't mean to. For vaulting over medium obstacles, have this one set to hotkey instead of auto. Continuous medkit healing and wishlist item notifications should be set to enable, and auto add to wishlist should be favorite recipe plus zone upgrades. This way, anything you need for your crafting recipes or hideout will be highlighted blue when you're in raid. Next, moving on to automatic RAM cleaner and only use physical cores. Since my system is a little outdated, I prefer to have these on, but you don't need to all the time. Automatic RAM cleaner can be turned on and off when you want to clean your Tarkov's RAM cache, and depending on your computer specs, you might not need these at all. Personally, for FOV, I have it at the maximum you can, 75, with head bobbing at the least, 0.2. Malfunction notifications I have on, reload hideout, of course, and trading intermediate screen I have enabled too. Under my graphics tab, I mainly have everything set to low, except for a few things. My texture quality, I can get away with running at medium. Overall visibility, I do have cranked up to 2500, and for anti-aliasing, I'm using TAA high. I have heard some people say FXAA is better, but I haven't done any testing to prove this myself, so for now, I'm just going to keep using this. Another thing to note is that while I have it off, AMD FSR 3.0 severely helps game performance if you're having FPS stutters, even if you don't have an AMD graphics card. So AMD or Nvidia, if you're having any hitches, I recommend turning this on, and the one I've tested before is balanced. For HBAO and SSR, I prefer to have these off as my system isn't high enough quality to run them, but if you have better specs than I do, feel free to turn these on and test out how they affect FPS for you. Anisotropic filtering I have on per texture, and NVIDIA Reflex low latency I have on plus boost. For sharpness, set this to 0.7, as when it's too high the game will become too pixelated, and if it's too low the game will be too blurry. I find 0.7 to 0.8 to be a good medium. And my lobby FPS limit and game FPS limit are 60 and 100 respectively. Down here at the bottom, I should note to turn everything off except Streets of Tarkov low texture resolution mode, as this will help your RAM usage on Streets of Tarkov. High quality color just decreases your FPS, so there's no real reason to use it. And MIP streaming is only helpful on some systems, and in the past wasn't helpful at all on Tarkov, so I would advise testing this one if you want to use it. I should mention that MIP streaming is a setting that is exclusive to the Unity game engine that allows you to only load the textures needed in camera frame, but as I mentioned in the past, this did not help reduce loads on your computer at all, and in fact created more problems, so test this carefully. While I will pause the video here so you can get my post-FX settings if you'd like, if you want my full guide to my post-FX and my NVIDIA color settings, please refer to this video here. The link will be down in the description. These will probably be personal preference, but just to throw them quickly in, for sound, I have overall volume set to 100, interface at 50, chat at 60, music volume at 10, hideout volume at 20, and music on raid end off. This one I would recommend doing no matter who you are, unless you want to get ear raped by the end of raid music every time. Starting off at the bottom, just to get it out of the way, my mouse sensitivity is at 0.9 with an aiming sensitivity of 0.705. My mouse DPI is set to 900. And finally, moving into keybinds, one thing I will say is I don't use the best keybinds. I personally use pretty weird keybinds that just are comfortable to me. So there's no reason for you to copy the ones you see here. I will point out ones I feel are necessary, but if you want to pause at any point just to see them or copy them to your liking, feel free to do so. Starting off at the bottom, just to get it out of the way, my mouse sensitivity is at 0.9 with an aiming sensitivity of 0.705. My mouse DPI is set to 900, and I have double click timeout at 0.50. Without taking too much time while I scroll through my settings, here are the few keybinds I would recommend changing are remove the keybind from check time and set it to check time and exits. This will save you one extra key press. You can have inspect current weapon and check chamber fix malfunction set to the same button as long as you have inspect current weapon on press and the other on release. And finally, make sure you always have your drop backpack and discard keys bound. Another notable tip is to not change your free look setting from mouse wheel down, as on any other button this will be glitchy and won't work properly. So just keep it as is. And those are my escape from Tarkov settings. I know I didn't explain what every setting does in this video, but down in the description I'll link someone's video who perfectly explains it. They go into a ton of detail about each setting so you can determine for yourself whether it's something that would help you or not. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and till next time.